Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. Bout get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix, so get ready, cause we bout to get it poppin', and we ain't stopping.
Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This the Mangina Dialogues. We at it. Yeah,
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I'm your host, Nick Scopes.
And I'm the Gregolicious.
Oh, he's bringing his name back. Okay.
50-50.
And today our guest is a very funny and a new mom, relatively new mom, Nicole Burch. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you guys? What's going on? You're in California, correct? LA, right?
No, I'm actually quarantining in Kansas City right now.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. I actually came out here on May 9th and I was going to stay for 2 weeks and it's now been 4 months today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I know you said you're from the Midwest, so are you staying with family?
I'm staying with my mom. Like in LA, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment and with a 1-year-old. And out here, my mom's got like 5 acres and a 3-bedroom house, which both of those things cost the same thing. But there's more space out here.
God, isn't that sad? It's so true. I mean, you talk about it in your special a little bit, which we'll get to, but talk about the differences between, like, say, living like a New York or in LA or somewhere else.
There's literally a cul-de-sac that is a brand new division, like it's all new homes, and I looked it up, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and it's $1,580 a month. And that is almost to the penny what I pay for my 1-bedroom. And I'm like, you've got to be joking me.
Say that. How many bedrooms? How many baths? Say that again.
4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a finished basement. You guys, a finished basement. I have to go downstairs to do laundry. Okay, I have to use quarters like I'm in a dorm.
So many activities in the basement. So many activities. So much room. It's actually not bad. $1,580 for an apartment in LA. That's pretty good. It's because I've lived there so long. I mean, I think they're going for closer to 22 now. What part of LA do you live in?
Larchmont, like the Rossmore, like Larchmont, Hancock Park area. So pretty close to Hollywood.
Yeah. It's funny because I do the same thing. I used to travel a lot, all over the Midwest and weird places from Oklahoma to Nebraska and stuff. And I would always see these awesome developments. And I'd have to go on Zillow and be like, all right, what does this McMansion cost compared to where we live? We live right outside New York City, so it's virtually the exact same thing as any.
It's the same. I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. It's $2,800 a month. I split it with someone. I got a roommate, but still.
It just amazes me, and I get so aggravated. I'm like, you know what? Living in Arkansas can't be that bad. Like, it's worth
Can it? I don't know.
I close your eyes, you could be frigging anywhere. Like, it looks just like Ventura Boulevard in most places.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out here for 4 months, and I'll say this, like, I love having family around, and I love the open space. I love the nice people. I like everything's kind of simplified, which is great, but I'm also really itching to get back to Los Angeles because there's just, like, my lifestyle out there, I just can't do out here anymore. Like, there's like hiking and green juices and exercising, and out here it's, all of your dressings are made with mayonnaise, and so
you go work at the slaughterhouse for exercise.
What's your juice place of choice in LA?
Let's see. We have in Larchmont we have Creation. I think I go there because it's in walking distance. I like that place probably the best.
I was going to say that's my choice also.
Yeah.
And when the whole CBD craze started a couple years ago, it's not even there anymore. I used to stay at this hotel in Manhattan Beach, and there was a Creation literally right next door. And I would go there every morning, and I would get something insanely overpriced, like the most expensive coffee drink I've ever had in my life. And then they bring in CBD water. I'm like, oh, I got to try that. So I didn't even look to see how much it was. And I go to pay for it. And I got some stupid breakfast snack. And it was $20 for like one of their little breakfast things. And the bottle of water was $12.
So what does the CBD water do?
Nothing. It's a scam. It's a fucking scam. CBD isn't a scam, but CBD water is a scam. Like you'd have to drink an awful lot of it for like a month before you'd see any effects of CBD. I'm a big like CBD person, but certain things are just bullshit. And CBD water and hard seltzers are.
I will stay away from it. That's great.
Totally.
That's crazy.
Anyway, let's talk about your comedy special, Never Been Kissed.
Do it. What do you guys want to know? Everything? Okay.
By our friends at Comedy Dynamics.
That's right. I do want to say I really loved. I only made it to the first 20 minutes because I had to go to work, but I will finish it. I have nothing to do the rest of this day. So this is what's going on. The intro. I love the intro.
Oh, good.
Like it's really, I don't want to give anything away, but like it really like draws you in. I really like.
Are we talking about the scene before the comedy special?
The scene before, yeah, because that's not a lot. That happens sometimes in specials, but you don't see it a lot.
You would have saw how it ended.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. So this is the interesting thing is when we originally were filming it, we had a connection at Netflix, and Netflix was like, "Hey, we're doing half-hour comedy specials, so we just need 30 minutes." So we shot it, and it was like roughly 36, 37 minutes. I was like, oh, that's plenty. And they can cut it to whatever they like. That contact got fired. And then Netflix was no longer taking half-hour specials. So they were like, well, we need you to make it at least 50 minutes. And I go, you want me to add 14, 13 minutes? And they're like, can't you just refilm it? I'm like, do you know how much man work that took to do that, and let alone how much money? Yeah. And so we ended up, they're like, what can we do? And I was like, well, I can write a scene. It's based on my childhood, and we'll have actors play. Because at the time when we were going to shoot that, I was pregnant. So I didn't look how I looked in the comedy special or when I was doing the stand-up. And so we had to add that on. And it actually ended up working really well thematically with what we wanted. And it has a lot of nostalgia to it too.
Yeah, I thought it was hysterical. It was really, really funny. And I think most teenagers at some point can totally relate to that exact scene.
1,000%. 1,000%. Of course.
The girl who plays me, her name's Vivian, and then the boy is named Naya. And I actually used my childhood crush's real name, Danny Parsons. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I could change this name, but I really want to use your name in it. And he was like, hi, haven't heard from you in 30 years. This is He was like, go ahead, use my name. I don't care. I was like, okay, great.
I was going to actually ask if you kept in touch with him, but I guess.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up.
Oh, this is even better. So we're friends on Facebook, and he wasn't even reading my messages, and his last post was like from 2014. So I was like, how do I get a hold of him? So I messaged his wife.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
And she was immediately like, this sounds great. She was awesome. She was great. But I was like, this is going to, how do I say this? How do I even construct this wording? And but she was pretty down with it. So that's awesome.
That'd be funny if it went the other way. Like if you were like, so I had a crush. You and your husband and I were friends. I had a crush when I was 12. And then she'd be like, listen, bitch.
Listen.
Like, what if she had that reaction?
Shows up my doorstep. I'd be like, oh, should have just named him Tim Jones. Nope. No, okay.
I do have, like, I really need to find out a fact about that opening scene with the woman that played your mom, right?
Yes.
So
Sarah Summers. Yeah.
Is that a fair representation of your mom?
1,000%, my friend.
Okay.
1,000%.
So did your mom ever say to you the words, give an inch, take a whore?
She said, no, okay, I did ad-lib on that. But I'll share the type of woman my mom is. So yes. I would have like slumber parties, and right. She'd have a few cocktails, and she would teach us toasts. And one of those, can I be crass on here? Can I be
Oh, yeah.
Right.
This is called the Mangina dialogues. You're good. Go ahead.
So one of her toasts was, here's to the girl with the little red shoes. She smokes my pipe. She drinks my booze. she doesn't have a cherry, but that's no sin because she's got the box that the cherry came in. And we were 9. So this was, that's my mamas.
Nick has a good bit about.
I have similar. Well, actually, I was 10 years old. So my father, I don't even know if you've heard this, but my father owned a bagel shop. We're from New York originally. Yeah. So my dad owned a bagel shop. We were 10 years old, and he gave me and my buddies, I was going to someone's house, and he gave me a bunch of bagels. And he looks at me and my friends, and he goes, "Hey, don't play ring toss with him." And we were like, and it was like 10 seconds. We were like, "Oh!" And he would just smile. And I was like, God, he's this fucking sick bastard.
That's the best.
Dude, there's a million. Great. I could talk for an hour about my dad, but we're not.
I'm talking about your World War II bit.
Oh, yeah, I was also 9 years old with that. Well, I don't want to I guess I could just say it real quick. So my grandfather fought in World War II.
Same.
Both did. One of them was like a cook and whatever, and I asked him about stories. I was like, tell me like war stories. Like what anything cool happened? And he's like, yeah, one time we were in Belgium. We used to watch these 2 women go at it. We would throw pennies at them. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? And I told my dad, this was in my father's bagel shop. And then the follow-up to that is I went up to my dad. I go, Dad, Grandpa's saying like weird shit. Like, I don't know. He goes, listen, he's been married to your grandmother. She's a pain in the ass. They've been together for 60 years. Just leave him alone. And I was like, okay. I was like, just figured I'd let you know. But
I love my grandpa. My grandpa was a Navy man, and he was like outside of New Guinea or whatever, and he was showing me these black and white photos. I was probably 5 or 6 years old. My grandma's in the kitchen, and he's showing me all these photos, and he goes, "Don't tell your grandma about this one." And it's literally a decapitated head on a pike. And it was black and white. It was blurry. He didn't do it, but it was like he was coming up on the land, and that's like he was taking photos or whatever. And I was like, I don't understand. And then I was like, is that his head on a stick? And my grandmother she's like, Frank, she's too young for that. She can't see that. And he goes, she's got to learn sometime if she's ever going to serve. And I'm like, what?
She's ever going to serve.
You can let the ladies in now. I'm like, okay.
I have a similar story. My other grandfather, who was like legit fought and was like a sergeant, this guy, and he was showing me, it was almost like a yearbook. Like it was weird, like photos of him and all his crew in World War II. And there's a picture. I'll never get it out of my head. I had to be 11, and he shows this picture of him and all the guys eating lunch, and there's just a dead German soldier like 3 feet from them. And he just pointed at it and he goes, "See that guy? We call that guy retired." And I was like,
It's so messed up. It's so messed up. So messed up.
That generation didn't give a fuck, man.
No, at all. My grandpa, like, he was always telling me and Mike, he's like, your cousin got a tattoo. That's disgusting. And I was like, Grandpa, you have the biggest Navy tattoo on your forearm. And he goes, it's because I never thought I was going to come back from the war. What are you talking about? We weren't going to survive. And I was like, we don't have those guys anymore. I don't know any guy my age or even younger that would have that mentality of like, I'm going to war or I'm not coming back.
My uncle was in the Navy, and he I don't have any good stories. He was the librarian. I'm not kidding.
Thank you for that, Greg. So anyway,
did he get a Purple Heart? If he got a Purple Heart, I want to hear that's how a librarian got a Purple Heart story. That's the story. It's gotta be funny, right? We're talking about our grandparents and like they come from a different time. My grandfather dropped out of school at 12 because of the Great Depression. He worked until he was fucking 80 years old. That's when he retired, when he was 80 from being a landscaper. Yeah. And
like getting tattoos and whatever because you think you're going to die in war. Then you move to LA and there's guys that just have tattoos because they're like, yeah, this like means like something in some foreign language.
Namaste.
I think of like Russell Brand from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and he's like, yeah, 7 years sober. And it's like all different. Like they don't make sense. There's Buddhist and Muslim. It doesn't make sense. Nothing.
Dude, I saw Russell Brand. I don't know if I ever told you this at in the offices of usually the CAA or Innovative or one of the big talent agencies in LA. And I was going down an escalator and I'm kind of like looking at my phone or something, and I'm about to go down this escalator and I see this like white blur, like just kind of shoot in front of me and then go down the escalator. I'm like, oh my God, like Jesus just walked down the escalator, right? And I'm like, this is my second Jesus encounter. So I get down the escalator to where it's valet parking. And so Jesus is getting his car at valet parking.
This is coming back.
Right? So I'm there and I'm looking and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This dude is dressed in, I'm not exaggerating, it was just the bed sheet off of his hotel bed. He just pulled the white bed sheet off, wrapped himself in it, and went to a meeting at his agent across the street or somewhere, gets in a car and rolls off in a bed sheet. In a bed sheet.
I mean, I'm also curious that this was your second encounter with Jesus. Like,
my
that's
my first one.
I'm like,
you're like, well, get to the end of that story and tell me about the first Jesus.
First one.
So this is 100% true, and I will go to my grave saying I saw Jesus.
Oh boy.
And, I'm Jewish, so I have nothing vested in Jesus. So I'm at a Grateful Dead concert. Back.
Okay. All right.
That's all you got to say. That's the end of the story.
Okay.
No. So it was during the day. So it's during the day, and I'm walking in the parking lot when you were still allowed to camp at concerts. And I'm walking through, and I hear this girl screaming, top of her lungs screaming. And I'm like, what is that? I turn around, and I like walk towards it to see what was going on. It was a girl clearly freaking out on some bad trip or something. And between two cars comes a dude, was like 6'6", complete Jesus, walks up to the girl, puts his hand on her head. I have no idea what he said because I wasn't close enough. Just held her head, right? Turned around, walked away. That girl became immediately calm and walked the other direction. And I stood there like, what the fuck did I just see? Like, what was this?
And you weren't on anything?
No, I was dead sober. Dead sober.
Okay, okay.
I even called my mother and told her, I'm like, Mom, because my mother's Catholic. I'm like, I saw your guy. And she's like, what do you mean you saw my guy?
Like Tony from the deli?
That's what you said.
The butcher?
The butcher? I'm like, no, Jesus. And she's like, oh. She's like, what are you smoking? I'm like, nothing. I promise nothing. Yeah, that's my Jesus story.
That's great.
That was beautiful.
It was.
Now, Nicole, let's talk about how you went from the Midwest to LA to do comedy. How did this all start?
Let's see. Basically, I went to college to be a doctor and realized that required math and science skills, which I don't have.
Nick too.
So, at all. Like I actually recently found out what my GPA was. Like from high school, it was like a 4.0. And then in college, I was like, oh, I probably graduated with like a 3.5. I took really hard pre-med classes. So I'm sure it was like maybe a 3.3 at the lowest.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it was a 2.6, girl. You drank a lot. And I was like, oh yeah, that seems accurate.
I would have killed for a 2.6.
So I was like, okay. So then after that, I became a real estate agent, and that was fine. But in the meantime, I was taking like acting classes just as a hobby, and I ended up booking some work in KC. And my acting coach was like, "Look, I think you're at that point where either you're going to stay here and just do this forever, or you're going to pick New York or LA." And so I went to visit my friend in LA. I love LA, I really do, but New York is one of my favorite cities, and I have never been there at that point. So had I gone to New York, I would have absolutely chosen New York, but I hadn't gone there yet. So then I moved to LA. I've been out there 11 years. I started studying at the Groundlings Theater day 2 of me moving there, and worked my way up through there, got into the Sunday Company, which Groundlings is where, a lot of SNL people come from or whatever. And, so once I got into Sunday Company, that's when I got really good representation. I started working more. Then they pretty much said, hey, you can either move on to the main company, or they like say, no, thank you. And I got the no, thank you. And so then I wrote a show called The 7 Guys You Date Before You Get Married. And it ended up, and they let me put it up there, which was very nice of them. And it ended up running, I thought it was going to run one weekend, and it ran 15 months. And I think it's still the longest running elective show that they've had. Yeah. And so from that, then I started doing stand-up. So, I mean, I've been doing comedy for over a decade, but I've actually only been doing stand-up for about 3 years. 4 years.
Oh,
4 years.
okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's interesting to know. Now, I always ask people this to do improv because I just do stand up and I can't even fathom doing improv. Like, besides the obvious, you're alone there. Like, what's the biggest difference, and what do you like more now?
Oh, I love stand up. Improv
Yeah.
is the one thing I can do. Sketch. I love sketch. I love writing sketch. I love being in sketch. I love character work. It's my favorite. Stand up. Stand up. I don't feel like like if it fails, it's on me. When it's
Right.
improv, and if I fail and I fail like the team or the people on stage, I can't do that. Like it gets in my head. I don't want to drop the ball. I'm too in my head. I mean, look, I can do it. I'm decent at it, but I would do stand up all day, every day, because it makes me too nervous to be up there with people and like it tank. And then you're just constantly trying to dig each other out. And it's like, I can dig myself out of no, that's not true. If I fail on stage by myself, I just fail on stage by myself. But I'd much rather do stand up.
It's way more. Yeah, I actually like the fact that it's just you on stage, like when you're doing stand up. Like even my father was a musician and he was a drummer, so he's chilling. But like first couple times he come to see me, he would he would say things like, "I can't believe it's just you. You're just up there by yourself. Like no, you're just alone." I'm like, yeah, that's what it is, man. Like,
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yeah. And I think a lot of my family members are like, "Oh, I didn't know you were such an extrovert." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not." Like just because I'm doing that does not make me an extrovert. Like as soon as I get off stage, people think that they're going to see the same person. And it's not like I'm a huge character, but they think they're going to interact with the same person. And I'm like docile and quiet and I keep to myself.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot about comedians, and one of the guys who I like, he always talks about it, is Sebastian Maniscalco, right? Like even as a bit talking about how he's like his wife loves people, and like he's like, I'm like a cat, like I just hide, I don't like, and you're thinking this guy who's selling out arenas and so animated and blah, blah, on stage, after he's done, he's like, leave me the fuck alone. Like I just run.
He takes that whole stage space. Like he's the Energizer Bunny on that stage. Yeah. And then he's just a quiet guy.
Makes sense.
Where did you get your start as far as like performing at the clubs in LA? Like did you have like a home club or a preferred club?
Well, I mean, I do mostly the Comedy Store as far as the bigger clubs. But I'll be honest, like when I first started doing stand-up, there's this bar called the Federal Bar. It's in North Hollywood. It's in the Valley. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to try stand-up for the first time. And I was like, hey, could I get like 10 minutes? And the guy kind of laughed at me. He's like, you want 10 minutes? You've never done stand-up? And I was like, trust me, just give me 10. I go, if I bring 20 people, will you give me 10 minutes? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, great, because it's my birthday and I'm going to have everybody come here and then we're going to go get drunk after. It's going to be awesome. And so we go and I do some spiel about like probably turning 33 or 34 or whatever. And all my friends are there and we're having a really good time. And afterwards he was like, you can have 20 minutes next time you come. You can have whatever you want. So I'll actually perform there quite a bit because he gives me like 30, 40 minutes. And it's one of those places where I can workshop stuff, but then I take the material that works and then I use it at the Comedy Store. Right. Unless I do the Belly Room and then I can just workshop stuff there too.
Gotcha. Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Now the Comedy Store, would you say that's probably favorite?
Yeah, I mean, when I say favorite, is it the place that I book the most? Yeah, so that's probably why. But I also love Laugh Factory and the Improv. I haven't done Ha in probably like 2 years. So, and that's also in the Valley, but it's a bigger club. But yeah, I mean, the Comedy Store, like the energy of that place, I mean, you feel it when you're driving down Sunset. You're like, there's something coming out of this place that's crazy intense energy.
Yeah. I hope it opens back. Is it open now for like food and stuff or what?
I actually don't know.
It is. They've been doing, they had like, you can go there and eat, and they've been doing some live podcasts.
Okay.
Which I think they do. I can't figure it out actually. I think they do them inside, but then broadcast it outside.
Oh, I could see that because they do have the TVs on the outside.
People just hang out at the bar and in the parking lot with the table. They set the whole parking lot up with tables. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know Laugh Factory's more, they do recordings of just one comic on stage and then they blast it everywhere. I don't know, like online.
Have you done like these Zoom shows and any of that stuff?
Oh God, this is so weird. So I've done, and this is all from people like friends reaching out to me that now have to, like my friends who are in charge of hosting a business happy hour, they have me come on and do like 10 minutes of comedy. And I was like, yeah, sure. And this one girl's like, how much for like 10 minutes of comedy? And I was like, $250. Cause I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is weird. I've never done this before. And she goes, okay, great. So I'll Venmo you. And I was like, wait, what? And so I've had a few of those gigs, which I'm like, that's not enough to pay rent, right? But like, I'm like, that's insanity. And one of my friends that is an old sorority sister at where I went to college, she is a lawyer and she works with some like Supreme Court justices, and like she's supposed to host this thing. And so I'm doing comedy. Obviously, I can't make it political, but I'm like doing comedy for all these people, and I'm kind of telling them about the Never Been Kissed special, and they want to hear about Michael Vartan and blah blah blah. And that actually went so well that it got me 4 more jobs after that from like women in their 70s that are judges. It was the weirdest, like that's the weirdest audience I could ever imagine. Because my demographic's like 35-year-old men, like that.
You never know though. I remember doing an open mic once back when there were people allowed in buildings and stuff like that. And it was like a 6-minute thing. It went well. And I did a joke about going down on a girl, and I got off the stage, and a couple that easily was in their late 60s were like, "You were our favorite one so far." And I was like, really?
Like, okay.
I was like, all right. I thought you guys hate that shit, but
I love that.
So I have a couple questions, because I actually spent a lot of time in LA. So listening to your special, like there was a bunch of things that just like popped out at me, just from being, down there in the scene and just knowing, obviously, traversing the town. And one thing was very, very funny, because I had the exact same reaction you did. I came out of Amoeba Records one day and I looked up, and I don't know if it was a chlamydia billboard or it was like an AIDS billboard. It was something, but I want to say maybe it was gonorrhea. It was like, hello, LA, do you have gonorrhea?
Yeah.
Right?
And
everyone's like, yeah.
No phone number. Like what's your, like, this is my thing. And I did touch on the special, but I think it was edited out for, I don't know, wording, or maybe I stuttered or whatever. I don't know. But it really was a large pink elephant covered in glitter. And it said, got chlamydia, ? No phone number. Like, hey, check in, get tested here. Here's the website. No, there's no other information on there. And I'm like, so this is our calling card as a city? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. And I took it's in my Instagram somewhere, because I took a picture of it and I posted it, and I'm like, welcome to LA.
The best, man.
Do you remember where it was that you saw it?
Well, I live like off Melrose and Vine. So it was literally right. There's a Pavilions or a Vons right there.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Right above that.
Yeah, that's not where I saw it. I saw it was directly across from Amoeba.
You would have been on Sunset, but they have them all over the place.
It was hysterical. I'm like, this is the best billboard I've ever seen.
Right. And my mom, real quick, when she came to visit last time, I was like, oh, let's go to Nate Bargatze. He had like a show, so we went. But across the street at the Orpheum was the Pornhub Awards. And she's like reading it on the marquee, and she's like, what's that? And like, as we get out of the car and we're walking, you immediately know who's going to watch Nate the comic and who's going to the Pornhub Awards.
What'd your mom say? Did she like pick him out? She's like, is that guy coming?
There was a girl who was wearing a mini skirt and just pasties, and like obviously huge super fake boobs, like because they could stand on their own. And she was like, I don't think she's coming with us. And I was like, no, I don't think so. That's good.
That's what Nick wears out on a typical Thursday.
Hey, it's Thursday. I'm waiting until this is over, and I'm going to put them on.
So of the whole Michael Vartan story, like, there's so much to dissect without going into it to give away the special.
Yeah.
But like, is that top to bottom, like how it went down?
There's a little bit of give and take on the timeline of everything, because we actually, we didn't go on a date. To be honest, we didn't go on a date the next night. We
Right.
texted for like 2 weeks. So we did get to know each other a little bit more, but like that was the first time we'd seen each other in person.
Right.
So there was a little bit more build up, but I think for time I had to make it like the next day.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'll embellish a little bit for a joke, but the storyline is absolutely.
That's just
Yeah.
utterly amazing.
There was a few times like I'd have a guy come up to me after a show and he'd be like, "I don't believe you." And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you. Do you want his number? Because my sister's here." Like a few times my sister was in the audience and she's like, "Dude, I was there for it." She goes, "I wasn't there for the exact moment." She goes, "But I was there to experience everything around it."
Now I need to finish the special tonight. Can we end this? No, I'm just kidding.
It's such a good story, and I'll have to tell you after why it's so like awesome to me, because I have a very similar ending experience. So.
I still have that text message. Now we've texted since then because the text messages have been, "Hey, I've been telling this story. I hope you're okay with it." And he jokingly says, "Hey, you should make it a Netflix special and we can retire, LOL." And then 2 months later, I was like, "Hey, so remember when you said I should make it a Netflix special? It's actually going to be an Amazon and Apple TV special. Is that cool?"
That count? Like, you okay with that?
He was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm surprised you're telling that story because it doesn't make me look bad."
Right. It's great. It's so funny. And what really impressed me.
What is happening?
I know. I'm so like, he's such a dick.
Stupid work.
The story was so engaging, right? Because it was the last 20 minutes of the special, and I was like riveted from the second it could have been anyone. It had nothing to do with who the story was about.
I try to explain that to people because they're like, "Oh, I don't know who that is." I'm like, "Have you ever had a crush on a celebrity? Have you ever had a crush on anybody?" Like it's like that, but it's also magnified because he was a guy I was in love with for 20 years.
Right. It was just awesome. And even better that it started out at, this part doesn't matter to the story, but at BOA. Like, I've had so many ridiculous things and funny shit happen on the outdoor patio, just at that place in general, like where it sits, and what's across the street used to be huge record label across the street. They're not there anymore. So like that was a scene. And then obviously the thing in the roof, it's just like, that story got me like, I'm still laughing. Like, I could bust out laughing now. So it was so good. So all of our people have to go watch this special. It'll be out by the time this comes out.
Yeah. Great.
So so funny. Nick, you're such a dick that you didn't watch that piece of it, but whatever.
I'm gonna go to work, bro. What do you want me? I'm gonna finish it up. I got nothing to. I literally, as soon as we hang up, I'm doing nothing. So I'm gonna go finish it.
You should.
There's nothing happening.
Is that like? I mean, it'd be very hard to top that as your best date story. To ask if that is the best date story.
That is definitely the best date story. So what happened was I had a friend who was a producer, and I was like, "Oh, I might have enough material to put together to do like an audio special or something like that." I was like, "I don't have the chops yet to do like a full special." And he was like, "Well, let me come see some of your sets." So for 2 nights, he like came, I had back-to-back shows, and I tried to change up all the material. And he's like, "Look, you're funny." And he's like, "But it's all dating stuff." And he goes, "There's so much, it's the industry's oversaturated with females talking about bad dates." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I totally get it." He goes, "You do have a unique perspective, but it's just, I don't know. So he goes, "You got one more show tomorrow. I'll come to it." I was like, "Don't even worry about it. I'm just telling this other date story and you're not going to like it." He goes, "Well, I've already set up a meeting next door." This was in Glendale, by the way, at a restaurant. This was like, when I tell you the place that should not have stand-up comedy, it was this place. And so I end up doing it. He pops his head in. I think he's not going to show because I already let him off the hook. He comes in and I start telling this story, and I'm running a little long. I get the light. So I asked for it at 2 minutes. So then I get the light, and then I look at my friend who's running the show, and he just goes, "Keep going, just keep going." He goes, "Tell us the whole," you could tell I was telling bits and pieces. And he goes, "Just tell the whole story. Show's yours." And I was like, "Okay." So I did the whole thing, and my friend Corey, the producer, Corey Craig's standing there, and he's feverishly typing. I'm like, he's making notes or he's texting somebody, something's happening. The women are on the edge of their seats. This is the first time I got to tell like a 20-minute version of it.
Right.
And the women are like, and they know the movie, they know the Drew Barrymore thing, they know everything I'm talking about. And then when I end it, the way the air lets out of the room, they were just like, no, like it was like, what? And when I got off stage, he goes, okay, it's going to be called Never Been Kissed. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. Like, you need to start working this every night, every night, every night. And I was like, oh, I go, again, it's a dating story though. And you don't like those. And he goes, nobody's told a story like that. That's insane. I cannot believe that's happened to you. And so then he immediately got in contact with Michael Vartan's people.
Right.
And was pretty quickly like, hey, out of a courtesy, you know, we want you to, we actually recorded something and sent it to his manager and his agents. And they were like, yeah, he doesn't want to be a part of it in sense of filming anything, but he fully supports for doing it and talking about it and stuff like that. And I was like, great. Because I think Corey was hoping he would do like a cameo, which would have been amazing. But I think he's also like, hey, I'm kind of an established actor and I don't know where this is going to go or what it's going to look like. So I totally understood why he said no.
I can't wait till he sees the special, hopefully.
Well, we've sent it to him.
He said, okay. What did he say?
Yeah, he's actually, I don't think he's seen the intro or the outro, the scenes before, after. But yeah, he gave it 2 thumbs up. He was like, that's hilarious. I hope it does well. And he's like, keep me posted. And I'm like, okay. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
He's like, he's gonna text me what he thinks. I can't wait.
Oh man, I wanted it to work out. So I mean, I was like operating in my 16-year-old brain the entire night. It was insane.
Well, it was a good time. You got a hell of a special out of it.
Got a hell of a story out of it. Yeah.
So what's coming up for you? Like, when are you going back to LA?
I'm probably going to go back. I'm doing some local promoting here. And since quarantine's not as bad in Kansas City, I can actually go into some studios and do some live interviews. Right. So I'm going to do that for the next couple of weeks, then head back. And I'm writing the next special. I'm about halfway done writing it with everything that's happened over the last 2 years. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Who are you dating to make that special about?
Well, I'm not really dating anybody, but after the Michael Vartan thing, I actually hooked up with my best friend just one night only.
Wow.
And,
yeah.
And we were careful, and I got pregnant, and I didn't want children. So,
that laugh.
Yeah, so she is honestly, even if you don't want to, which I didn't, she's perfect. She's perfection. She's a sweetheart. She's absolutely gorgeous and adorable. And she's the smiliest, happiest baby you've ever seen. Like, everybody's like, I've never seen a baby smile that much. And I'm like, I know, it's crazy. That said, it's been a journey, man. It's been, and we're co-parenting. I mean, I have her like 95% of the time, but he's, he flew in for her birthday and he's flown in a month ago, and we're like doing this co-parenting thing. There's no I think the hardest thing is people, especially my family, keep thinking you guys are going to get together. And we're like, dude, no, if you could read the text exchange that happened after we had sex, he left because I was like, you can go now. And then he left, and then he texted me, or no, I texted him the next morning. I was like, hey, I just want to make sure we're good. And he goes, oh yeah, we're good. I wouldn't even consider what we did last night sex. And I was like, whew, me neither. 3 weeks later, I was like, hey, so we got to meet for coffee and have a really awkward conversation. And he was just like, no, texting me. And I was like, yeah. So if it wasn't sex, what was it? I'm confused as to. Well, it was like a mix between just the tip and ouch, get off my hair, and then oh well, let's use protection. Well, we don't even really need it, and then we're done. And I thought I'd had a lot to drink, so I thought we were done. And then he said, yeah, we're done. And then I didn't know he had finished done. I thought we had decided to stop doing it. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense? I'm trying to
It
be
does. It does
graceful.
make sense.
I'm trying to be real graceful about it.
That's
It's real Midwest of you.
Very Midwest, very 8th grade description of how a girl, unbeknownst to her, gets pregnant.
Yeah, that came out 3 months into therapy when we were doing couples therapy. He was like, hey, so I probably should have mentioned this one part. And I was like, dude, I would have taken the morning after pill. What the fuck? Yeah.
So is this one going to be called One Night Only?
It should be. It absolutely should be. No, it's actually going to be called Mama Drama, probably. I don't know. We'll see.
I love that you said that name and you're like, I don't fucking know.
Every time I say Mama Drama, it sounds so, I'm like, oh, it sounds cheesy. I'll figure it out later. Or I could just steal another title like I did with this one. It's fine.
Just call it Don't Leave It In. Something like that.
Quick Draw.
I'm going to let you guys name it. All of these are great.
I'm great with names. The Mangina dialogue speaks for itself.
Yeah, doesn't it?
That's pretty awesome. Well, listen, this has been a awesomely wild, fun time, and your special's tremendous. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it.
Thank you.
I go watch it right now.
Where should people follow you?
So you can go to NicoleComedy.com. It's NICOLE comedy.com. That's going to be the easiest way because like I just posted this. If you're 40 or older and related to me, you don't know what iTunes is apparently. So they're like, I can't pre-order. I don't have iTunes. I'm like, that's fine. You can get on Amazon on the 15th. And they're like, Amazon? And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? I'm just going to send you specific links the day of. So if you go to NicoleComedy.com, it will have every link you need on every platform that you can possibly imagine, and I will get it to you, I promise. And if you have a problem, message me, Grandma, and I'll help you figure it out. You know what I mean?
And what about your Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff?
At Nicole Burch Comedy. You can reach me there.
Cool.
And yeah.
I have a real quick thing. My dad once called iTunes Looney Tunes. Not even kidding.
I need to meet this guy. Does he still have the bagel shop?
No, he sold it in the early 2000s when we moved to Connecticut. But he's 70 now. He's chilling. He's
chilling. He's chill.
You don't care. But anyway, yeah, get it on Looney Tunes.
Get it on Looney Tunes. And
never been kissed.
Never been kissed. It's tremendous.
Story of my life. All right, Nicole. Thank you so much. This was so fun. I'm going to go finish your special right now.
Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, bye.